Thank you very much. I'm Gian Giacomo. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Amicomed. You can simplify in GG, which is definitely better. Amicomed is the first fully digital platform for blood pressure management that combines remote monitoring and lifestyle intervention. And we are tackling the most widespread conditions over all the world. 1 billion people worldwide, 1 out of 3 in adult population. And the service is, there are several unmet needs in the blood pressure. From the patient standpoint, let's say that the patient they are confused from the continuous fluctuations of the blood pressure values. They are scared about that. They don't know how to interpret it. And on top of that, remember that blood pressure is asymptomatic, so they refuse to be considered ill. And from the physician standpoint, they have very poor or lack of data, often biased. They don't have data between one visit and another. So it's impossible for them to make a proper follow-up, especially on the lifestyle changes that are so effective in blood pressure. And so despite the current strategies, more than 50% with people with hypertension have their blood pressure not in target. And that's why we can say that this is definitely not a good strategy. We need something more. And Amicomed is exactly that. Amicomed is a cloud-based platform. Let me say, we are not a physical blood pressure measurement device. We are a software, we are device agnostic, and we can be connected with whatever device. The platform is based on 2 components. The first is the remote monitoring. That is an algorithm that is capable to understand values, patterns, trends, and fluctuations in blood pressure, so allowing physicians to understand what are the patients that really deserve their quality time. And the other component is the lifestyle intervention, which is a 3-month program in which we educate the patient to self-manage his condition as much as he can. And this happens in a fully automated and highly personalized way, thanks to the algorithm, to the proprietary algorithms that we have internally developed. Well, we have tested the service in Italy on real patients, getting those results in the cohort of population of 5 millimeters of mercury of systolic blood pressure reduction, of an average blood pressure reduction, up to 20 in best cases with 70% of adherence. And just to contextualize, when we say those kind of results, 5 millimeters of average reduction in a cohort, according to the clinical literature, drives 30% lower mortality, or 50% more people with ideal blood pressure, or savings in the United States up to $24 billion per year. So it's an amazing number. And please consider also that blood pressure is not only hypertension, but blood pressure is whenever it's needed to have blood pressure under control, like for instance in the congestive heart failure to avoid heart fatigue, or in pregnancy to avoid preeclampsia. And so those are the cases in which we are working with, and for instance, we have been selected by UCSF for pregnancy and from Novartis for the congestive heart failure. And we have been peer-reviewed and accepted to present at those major congresses like American College of Cardiology and the American Society of Hypertension. And last, our go-to-market strategy is a go-to-market strategy based on 2 steps. The first one is the care providers that are linked to quality-based model related to blood pressure, and the second one is the payers. Of course, leveraging distribution partnership, something that I've already mentioned, with a pricing that is on average $100 per intervention per patient. That's it. We are also in funding, and if you want to talk with me, happy to talk.
Excellent. Giacomo, thank you. And all of our companies get a bottle of bread and bottle of wine. Here you go.
That's wonderful, especially for
yes, exactly. So now you can take one back to Italy, and a copy of the Magic Box Paradigm. Fantastic book. All right, so one thing that I forgot to mention is that there were about 100 companies that applied to this contest. We had 4 or 5 different online voting challenges where I'd say there were 30, 35 people that were voting for the various companies, and we whittled them down to 8. The 8 companies here are a little more mature than maybe we've seen in the past at Vator Health. All these companies have revenue. All these companies are really in market. And we're really excited about you know, the next 7, because they're as good, almost, as this fantastic company we've just seen here. So thank you, Giacomo. Now we're going to bring on number 2. And our second company, yes. And? Q&A. Oh, he's doing the Q&A. Come on back. Come on back, Giacomo. I knew I forgot something.
It was the impact of the wine.
Put that wine away.
I was immediately thinking to the wine. I was drinking the wine.
Yeah, sure. Gian Giacomo.
Gian Giacomo, yeah, but simplifying GG.
Gian Giacomo, thank you.
Yeah, it's much easier.
Congratulations on the product and on actually helping people.
Thank you very much.
If you start getting runaway traction in the market, what's to stop somebody else from copying it and coming right up next to you?
Well, I think outcomes are probably the main thing to work on to get a complete differentiation from the other ones. We already have outcomes and we are very, very focused on that. Of course, there is also patenting of the algorithms and whatever, and we are working on that. For instance, the first algorithm has already been patented in Italy where we was developed. But let me say a couple of things. We spent something like 3.5 years to build those algorithms. And just to give you an idea, there is a major digital therapy company that wanted to face this kind of space that called us to integrate the service, and that demonstrated that it's something not completely replicable. So our main attention is that, produce the outcomes, and as much as possible, produce the knowledge that we have beyond there.
So this is a very important problem. I am hypertensive, so I've done this myself and been at risk in 2 pregnancies for preeclampsia, so something that's very personal to me. And there's a lot of similarities with Livongo in terms of how you're approaching the market. But as you just alluded to, the most critical thing that any of the payers are going to care about is the ROI, right? There's a lot of people coming and pitching this, and they're looking for studies that have been shown and the outcomes that have been based. So I want to understand exactly where you are in that process. Like, if you have scientifically validated outcomes, are you working with pilots with a couple of your payers? Because that's going to really be, I think, the link that's going to allow you then to accelerate sales.
This is exactly the goal that we have for the first couple of years. So we don't expect to have enormous number of customers in the first couple of years, neither enormous amount of revenues, but we expect to have very strong outcome focused on delivering the ROI for the people, for our next customers. And that's also the reason why we are addressing the payer as a second step.
So how many patients have you had actually go through the program, and what's your oldest cohort on the program?
Well, about the one that you have seen, the test that you've seen, it was 563 patients. Now we are going to start in the United States, and we envision to have something like 500,000 patients by the end of this year.
Are you working with any academic institutions? Or
UCSF.
Validated? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, quick question on, can you take us back and how you actually execute on getting the blood pressure? So is this just a off-the-shelf hardware that you're using, or are you, is there any secret sauce built in there on the hardware side? Is it all on the software side?
Are you referring to how?
Yeah, how do you
the blood pressure can be captured?
And how do you get people involved? Are they putting it in themselves? I assume it's automated.
Yeah, of course, people have to take blood pressure on their own by definition, because there is not yet available, unfortunately, on the market, the continuous blood pressure monitoring. Even if it's arriving, then that will be a very nice moment for all of us. But in any case, the people can do it through connected device and whatever. It also depends on the customers we have, because, for instance, especially in the first period with care providers, they tend to distribute the service together with a blood pressure monitor that is connected, so to be sure as much as possible that the data are consistently safe, let me say also, and
okay,
right.
So you're agnostic to whatever blood pressure cuffs to use? There's no digital tie-in?
No,
it's all just self-reported?
Yeah, the reason why we are agnostic about that is because in any case there are a lot of blood pressure measurement already sold. And so we don't want to force the people to change it. So it depends on whatever extent you want to have. So if you think to the payer, when you're addressing the payer, and that's more a B2C, let's say in some way decision, you could have some people that don't want to change the blood pressure they already have at home. Okay. And so our choice is to be completely open on that.
Can you spend a little more time on business model?
Well, the business model is a B2B business model, and the idea is to have, in general, care providers as a first step, but the reason why we are focused on the care providers as a first step is because here in the United States especially, there is a big opportunity with a shift from a quantity to quality-based model. And so the idea is to use that step to generate outcomes and some product market fit in terms of revenues, of course, and it's happening.
So it'll be a monthly fee?
No, it's not a monthly fee at the moment. What we're doing so far at the moment is proposing a fee, an average fee of $100 per intervention. Oh. Remember that intervention is a 3 months intervention. Then, of course, we can also act on idea of a recurrent fee, probably lower recur. We will test also that one, but just to begin, we want it to be as simple as possible in terms of pricing.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.